You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. Your home for tomorrow's TA today. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Action-packed week this week, possibly with some volatility as well, because Wednesday, Powell is cutting rates. The market priced in a 92% probability as of this morning, something I have been saying they would do since the chances were only 25%. But as you guys know, this is tomorrow's TA today. I give you predictions based on patterns and cycles, whereas most people simply tell you about things after they happen. So let's talk about what's going on in the market. You know, on my screen, guys, we're going to cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana in this video. Timestamps are below, but on my screen, I made over a 20-minute long Bitcoin video and altcoin video last week, and I left off my top and bottom chart, the beach ball chart, as everybody's affectionately calling it now. I left this off, and wow, did you guys get upset about that? So many people were, well, what happened with the chart? What happened? So we're going to cover it here in the video today. I have a lot of information I want to go over, guys. So, just strap in because, again, understand my bias is bullish. You guys all know that listening to this channel. Everybody is bearish in this space. Go look at the thumbnails, right? But my bias is bullish, not because I want it to be bullish, but because that's what I see happening with the patterns at play. The market cycle at play is the up leg going into Q1 2026, where we should make a major top and a retracement. Could be a very large retracement. We'll worry about that when we get there, but we're going to cover the bullish and bearish patterns in this video. You guys like my content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the thumbs up, and of course you can check us out, get all of our Market Maker members only videos on YouTube. You can click the join button right there on YouTube, and you can jump over to our Discord from there. Love to see you guys on the Discord. We have a fantastic community there of investors and traders. You would really enjoy it. Give it a try. Guys, this content's brought to you by SimpleFX and Bitunix. If you want to trade these markets and help support the channel, help support me and Lee, I would appreciate it. Check out those exchanges. They are in the video description. Be a Market Makers VIP. All right, so let's talk about the beach ball chart. First of all, before we jump into the beach ball chart, let's take a peek over at fear and greed. We're at 40 this morning, 40. Now remember, back in October, when everybody was calling the tops in all the markets and see Bitcoin crash, see the markets are cooked, everything's smoked, we hit a 4 or a 5 in fear and greed. And they said, no. That's because of divergence in fear and greed. You don't understand. When actuality, like I was telling you, that marked the bottom. 3 to 5% pullback in the S&P is all you got, and now you're marching back into fear, almost into neutral, and this will top in greed or extreme greed. When everybody was calling the top, the market was in extreme fear. Just keep that in mind as you consider what's happening in the market, because last week we had the Russell Cash make a new all-time high, the S&P equal weight make a new all-time high. After October, when everybody called the top, we had the Dow make a new all-time high, and they just dismissed it and said, no, that's only 30 stocks. Well, it's all the sectors in the S&P. So the equal weight making a new all-time high is huge. Money is not leaving. It is rotating, and you're going to see the beta risk, such as the cryptos, take off with it. So we're going to cover all that here, but let's talk about the beach ball chart. Right now, by the way, my RMA indicator, I shared it on my X at Market Canary. Give me a follow right here in yellow. You can give me a follow on X. The indicator is right there in my feed. If you want to download it and use it, you can change it to multiple types of moving averages. Very useful. Latest Pine code. Color gradient, of course, because it looks really cool. And we look at the beach ball chart. We are at 64,843. What does that mean? If you're new to the channel, what that means is the RMA has detected, going back to 2013, every time we've crossed the previous cycle high, we have made the top in Bitcoin within 4 to 5 weeks. We did this back in 2017. We did this back in November 2021. RMA crosses the previous cycle high, we make the top within 4 to 5 weeks before the cycle ending drop. We have not crossed the 2021 high, which is 69K. We're at 64.8. You can see it's kind of flattening out here. This guess over here, this red box for time, it's just a guess. I don't know when it's going to cross 69K. The most important point of this is when it does cross 69K, if, that's the operative word, if the cycle is to repeat, we should have our top within 4 to 5 weeks, okay? So we're at 64.8. It needs to cross 69K. When it does, you have an early warning signal, which has not failed, going back to the 2013 cycle, that the top is coming within 4 to 5 weeks. Obviously a megalithic pump. If we come up to my higher level targets, which is 150K up here, we come up to these higher level targets, you could see the RMA start to really move quickly, right? That's kind of the point. It's an indicator without fail going back to 2013. Does that guarantee it will hit again? No, there's no guarantee. And trading, what is trading? It's gambling. There's only probabilities, just like playing blackjack or poker or roulette or anything else. It's all about probabilities, and you look for setups. You use confluence techniques like patterns, Fibonacci, indicators, and your own personal bias. You listen to other people, formulate your own market view. This is all about setting up probabilities and trades. So we need to cross 69K. We have not done that yet. Hence, I've been saying the top is not in. And once it does, 4 to 5 weeks, we will get the top. Nothing has changed. We still have to cross that level, okay? Let's look at total. What's total doing? Total retraced. Remember, the April 7th low is the key low to hold in everything. You've held it in everything, Bitcoin, total, everything else. Came down beautifully to the 786. Where your total is going to have most of its resistance is 3.5 trillion to 4 trillion right in this box, because, of course, once this is flipped, higher probability, total's going to new all-time high, ergo, cryptos will be at new all-time highs. But you still have to get this move, right? You haven't got that move yet. Why? Because everything's on pause until you see what happens with Powell. Can Powell be a dick and give us a hawkish cut? Of course he can. He hates Trump. He hates the administration. He's out of a job in a couple of months. His successor's about to be named. So he could very likely cut the quarter point and say, well, this doesn't guarantee that we're going to get future cuts, by the way. Far from it, like he did last time, and cause volatility. So the number one question people are asking me is, well, Brendan, what does that mean? Does that mean on the rate cut day, on Wednesday, December 10th, will we be at new all-time highs in the crypto market? Obviously, from the price levels we're at, no. But that means we're going to have volatility. So you have to zoom out a little bit, okay? I can't tell you what's going to happen the day of the cut. Could we sell off because of the cut? Of course we could. What's important to hold is market structure. My base case, my thesis is we're here in the first week, end of the first week of December. My base case is cryptos, markets will all be higher the end of the first week of January. 30 days from now, everything will be higher. I cannot tell you exactly what will happen on Wednesday, December 10th. I don't know. You can make a case for either direction. But importantly, you have to look at the market structure and understand the key levels to hold and the key levels to break to the upside. I want to show you the Russell because, again, I alluded to this in my little rant monologue in the beginning here. Russell's important. Why? Because back in 2021, the Russell and Bitcoin topped within 72 hours of each other. And the Russell probably would have topped with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin topped on like a Friday or Saturday, I believe, and the Russell doesn't trade, and it opened up on Monday. That was the top. Within 72 hours, the Russell and Bitcoin top. Now, last week, Russell Cash already made a new all-time high, and here we are in Russell Futures about to make a new all-time high. High correlation. Why? Because 50% of the companies in the Russell basically make no money, right? They make no money, very rate sensitive, as is Bitcoin, a liquidity barometer. And what's the pattern on the Russell? There's your April 7th low down there, just like Bitcoin. Pattern on the Russell, even the old boomers here in the here in the TA space know this type of pattern. What is this? This is really just a cup and handle, and Fibonacci, the pattern of growth, the ratios of growth and decay, tell you the Russell's looking at a 17% rally up to 29.51 on Russell futures, and this would be huge for Bitcoin if this is the pattern the Russell's going to play out to, and of course, it could go beyond that. That's 3K on the Russell futures and 3250 as another level. This is a very bullish pattern on the Russell. Again, directly linked, just like the NASDAQ is, to Bitcoin and crypto. So you want to watch the Russell with the rate cut because the Russell wants to move. So let's go ahead and move forward. Look at Bitcoin. Now, to keep the bears happy, right? To keep the bearish people happy, which, guys, by the way, the Discord is full of people of multiple opinions. I have pleasant debates with people that I would consider good friends on the Discord because we've known each other for 3 years, back and forth about price action. So, this is something that I don't hold a view like I care, like it's your child or something. I just want to make money, which is, I think, where most people are in the Discord. So I want to show you what I think would happen. Again, if I'm wrong about my base case of new all-time highs, it'll be the pattern I've been sharing for over a year. Again, the 3 peaks in the domed house. Peak 1 in Bitcoin, peak 2 in Bitcoin, both happened in 2021. Peak 3 in Bitcoin, your domed house is nothing more than a large head and shoulders pattern here on the weekly time frame. That death knell, right? That sword in the stone, sword through the heart perhaps, would occur between 108 and 116, up in this range, right at that peak resistance, Fibonacci resistance. So even if that is the case, you're looking at Bitcoin, again, rallying 30,000 plus points off of the low. Let's just measure this off that 80K low. Up to the 618 is 30,000 points roughly, 28,781. So basically 29,000 points and 36,000 points off of that 80K low. I brought this up in the previous video as well, but in case you missed it, just a quick refresh. This is a 50 weekly RMA. Far more useful. You can go watch my takedown of the 50 weekly moving average. I don't think it gives you any good information. 50 weekly RMA, look how it's played out. Every single cycle since 2017, when you hit it for the first time, generates massive rallies after sell-offs. 47%, 63%, 46%. How many times has it played out? 3 times in 7 years. What's the effective hit rate? 100% of the time it has played out. Guess what you did? You hit the 50 weekly RMA. And again, if you just measure this from a percentage basis and go up just the low end, right? The 46%, which you've done twice, or 47%, to the 618, it's only at 35.5%. To the 786 is roughly a 45%. So again, 116K Bitcoin, 37,000 points up off the low. That's the bear case, guys. I'm open to it, but until we get to it, I'm longing the lows, right? Particularly in Ethereum and Solana. That's what I'm trading this up leg, looking for this to come up. And then I'll make a decision, right? I'll make a decision. And some of you who don't watch the videos every week may be shocked if I'm like, you know what? The markets didn't get to my targets. They're looking bearish. They're forming bearish patterns. Bitcoin's sitting here at 112, 114. Guys, I might be getting out of my positions and be like, well, you said it was going to 150 and it didn't get there. Well, that's all part of trading, folks. My base case is 140, 150K, but be aware this pattern does exist should it form on that right shoulder on the weekly time frame. So you have to be aware. You have to be nimble. This is not investing. This is trading. We look at our what's this called? Lunar cycles. Looking at the lunar cycles, guys, again, the precision, and I know a lot of people are new to lunar cycles and they look at it and are like, no, that's crazy. It can't work out. Guys, you get moves on lunar cycles. Not everyone. Again, it's just a probability thing, right? But you see how they play out at the all-time high to the day after a run up. They work best when you're max extended or max sold off, right? After the run up to the day, big sell off, crypto liquidation. You see the pivots play out just like you did here. 2 days of a pullback, then you moved up. Then you see this pivot play out for your bottom, move up. And then, of course, the bottoming candle, right? The lunar cycle low when I predicted the bottom a week ahead of time for Bitcoin. The very next day after the lunar cycle was the current bottom in the market. And then we just hit on December 4th, the next lunar cycle. What'd that do? Well, you rallied up into it, so you pulled back for 3 days, and now you're up for 2 days. Maybe all you get there. And of course, the next one is December 19th. And between now and then, we have PAL this Wednesday. So important to understand. We look at Bitcoin on the 3-day chart. One thing I want to show you guys, looking at Bitcoin on the RSI, right? RSI, you got oversold on the 3-day chart. 3-day charts, intermediate to longer term trend. One of Gann's favorite trend times to use. Actually, it's where the whole 9-candle reversal thing came from. It came from Gann. It did not come from Tom DeMark, but we'll go over that some other time. But at any rate, so this is where you're at. You hit oversold on the 3-day RSI. The last time you did that on Bitcoin was the 2022 bottom. Isn't that interesting? I think it's interesting. But I'm going to show you this, how it affected the altcoins hitting oversold as well historically. But let's just look at this. So upside targets. Again, I like to give targets that I think will be hit, right? So all year long, I was telling you what was the target. And it's funny that people still give me shit about this. I said, what was the target? 132, right? I said 132. And where did Bitcoin get to? 126, 149. Didn't quite get the 132. I still see in the comments people say, still waiting on 132. When I gave you 132 as a target, Bitcoin was like 70K. Right? So it got within 6,000, 5,000 points of my target. My next set of targets, again, as you guys know, since the April 7th low, we're looking at 140, 150K Bitcoin. How can we get that? Well, there's several patterns that get you there, but the quickest one to show you is simply Fibonacci range expansion, a pattern of growth, looking at 154 at the 1618 and 171 at the 200%, right? So I wonder if people will say the same thing to me if it flips out to the upside, right? So we hit our 150, we get some pullback, and then it does that, gets up to 170. You said it would get out at 150 and it went to 170. Well, again, it's all part of trading. I don't know which target will be hit. I just know the probabilities of these targets being hit, and there's work to do before you can get to those targets, which is what we're going to look at, as you guys know, on the smaller time frame. So we've had the big sell-off from 126. We went down to 80K. And again, I go over this with you every time, guys, but 3-hour time frame, but you're in a bottoming bullish reversal formation with a key market catalyst coming up in just 48 hours, right? So you look at your climax candle to the downside at 80,500. What have you done since then? Now, depending who you watch, they're telling you you're going to cascade down to 70, and then you're going to 40, and then it's going down 90% because you don't understand anything about the Japan unwinding trade, right? Oh, the unwinding of Japan. So they have all these reasons why things are going to happen, but you can just look at the charts. Climax candle, you made a high. Their automatic reaction, you retest the low, which is your higher low. You made a new high. You made a new higher low. You are in a bullish reversal uptrend with a key market catalyst coming. Now, earlier I told you I don't know what's going to happen with Powell. I expect him to cut. I don't know if he's going to be hawkish. I don't know if that creates volatility and some type of selling pressure. The key level you want to hold here on Bitcoin is that higher low, 83.8. Okay, you're at 91 as we are recording. Why is that a key level? Because you've been making uptrend progress and you can come back down, hold that 83 and nothing's changed. You're still in a bullish uptrend, near-term reversal pattern to the upside. If you were to take out 83.8, you need to hold the low, 80,537, because remember that 74.5 is your low from April 7th, April 8th, whatever that date was. That is your important low that you want to hold to keep market structure. So you can have volatility with Powell, but again, my base case is once we get past the volatility, 30 days from now, we're going to be at a much higher level. How do we gauge that? Let's just look at a couple of things. If we look at where we retrace from on this last leg here, look at this level. We need some fibs. throw the 618 on there, 786. Bounced right off the 618 off this last leg, right? So we start looking at upside targets as well. We can do some range expansion, but really you don't even need Fibonacci because it's the same targets I've been telling you over and over again because I know where this is headed to. We look at this, once you break out above this level of 94K, got to take out 94K. Once we break out above 94K, your next area of peak resistance is going to be right at that 100K region, right? You got 99K on the low end. On that high end up here, that fractal high, you have 107, which puts you right up against what? That 108 from the larger pattern. See, everything's related in trading, right? So we have this reversal pattern that we can break out to the upside. Where are you going to find that resistance? The psychological level of 100K, and then just above you at that 108, which is a 618 from the all-time high. So you can look at this, and we can look at our fractal wave counts here too, right? We can look at this. If these higher lows continue, we get our breakout. This is how that breakout will form. If this low right here that we just made holds up, your fifth wave is your breakout. That fifth wave will bring you up to that next level. You have to break out above 94. You're going to be testing 100. And then just above that, 108K. And of course, this gives you the beautiful W reversal pattern as well to the upside. All this is in my education series, which you can access right there through YouTube with the join button. So that's what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin. Let's move forward. Man, these videos, guys, do you guys mind that they go long like this? Because we're 20 minutes in. If you tell me it's too long, let me know in the comments, right? And I'm not saying that just to put your engagement in there. I want to know if you guys think that videos like this, do you get something out of them when I go longer, or do you prefer they're like 10-minute videos? Let me know what you guys like, because I aim to please and I talk a lot, as you guys know. Let's look at Ethereum. If we look at Ethereum here, what's the key level to look at on Ethereum? 2,700. Why? Because going all the way back over here, 2,700 has been a key level back to January 2024, right? So almost 2 years has been a key level. You've used it as support. You've used it as resistance when you lost it. You used it as support and resistance when you battled at it, sold off, and then in resistance again. And what did you do on your big sell-off? You used 2,700 as support again. There's so many patterns here on this Ethereum chart, just this one shot that I'm showing you. I'm going to do a Fibonacci analysis, pattern analysis video for members tomorrow on Ethereum, because there's so many awesome learning opportunities in here, and also confluence for targets to the upside. Now, what did Ethereum do? Ethereum did a beautiful retracement right to the 618. What does this do? This sets up a beautiful ABC pattern. This is the bullish case, guys. A beautiful ABC pattern, and look at that target for the reciprocal ratio of 7163. Yes, that's 7,163 at the 1618, and at the 200%, that sets up 8,500 for expansion. That's the bull case. And you can look at that and say, Brendan, that's never going to get there. That's okay. Then what's the bear case? Bear case is easy. You guys have seen this many times. Your bear case is a double top pattern, which would fail right around 4,200, 4,300, something like this, start chopping around, and then break down, and that's the short, right? That's the short. If it never takes out your all-time high to the upside, if it doesn't take out 49.55, let's just call it 5K. If it doesn't take out 5K to the upside, and you sell off around 42, 4,300, right around there, that is the bear case for this to break down. But again, guys, I'm just looking at some trends here. I'm looking at confluence. I'm looking at the RSI. What did the RSI do on our 3-day chart? Oversold. What did it do the last couple times it got oversold? Last time you got oversold was on that April 7th low, right? The tariff derangement sell-off. You rallied 258%. Let's just look at this again. You rallied 258%. You're 175% rally to get to 7,000 with an oversold 3-day RSI. And you can see on the chart, by the way, this doesn't happen often. The last time that happened was April, but before that, you got to go back to 2023. This is a I want to say rare. It's an unusual event or unlikely event to get oversold on some of these coins on 3-day charts. And this was a 173% rally. It's a 4,500 point rally to the upside to 7,163. Again, bull case, 7,000, right? Max bull case 8,500. That would take some really euphoric market conditions, but hey, anything's possible. It is crypto. What are some other things we notice? We notice our volume, right? You can look at your volume delta indicator here, my Desmond volume delta. You can see that you're holding a series of higher lows. You can look at your momentum, which went from sell-off strength to now it's trying to curl back to the upside with the histogram shrinking. So again, bullish macro picture on Ethereum, on the altcoins. However, with the asterisk, that major catalyst coming up Wednesday, which is PAL, which again is supposed to be a cut. Near-term volatility is a possibility. Do I think Ethereum's going to be higher than 3,000 for 30 days from now? Absolutely, right? Again, my base case, markets, coins higher 30 days from now than they are today. I don't know about Wednesday in particular. So if you ask me in the chats, that just tells me you didn't watch the video. But let's look at this on a 3-day chart or a 3-hour chart. We go from 3 days to 3 hours. Looking at the 3-hour chart again, where is that next level of resistance? Well, first let's walk through the trend. It's always good to have a trend refresher. Selling climax low, reaction candle high, retest low, gives you a higher low, new high, higher low if this holds up, and then you're right up in this wave, right? Could this pull back again with some nervousness about PAL? It could. So just like on Bitcoin, let's just look at the patterns that you have, because you need to hold this low right here to keep your near-term higher low trend. And guess what that magic number is? 2718, 2700 from the macro. Understand, if you like to trade small time frames, zoom out to the macro as well, guys. Understand where the key larger resistance support levels are, and then look at that in your near-term trend. Where will Ethereum go? Well, I can tell you right now that if Ethereum can hold that higher low, this will set up a beautiful ABC, an ABC to the upside, to the target of about 3,500 with a breakout. Okay, this would set this up. Now, again, the volatility could take out that B point. You want to hold above 2,700, and you need to break above 3239. But when you look at your market structure, your fractal corridor, again, this puts you right in that range of where you see this, which is right up there to 3657. You see these candles up here, and we'll put this over here so you can see it a little bit tighter. 3370, 3657. This is your next point, your next target. If you view the market as what it's trying to do is make upside progress, you'll understand the fractal corridor concept with Fibonacci, and you'll understand patterns. But this is your next leg to the upside, is to come into that range, hit 3,500, right? Again, get through PAL, see the volatility ease off, and watch and see what happens with the cryptos. Overall, very bullish. Man, we are... This video is long. Looking at Solana. Again, the two coins I like to trade here in this space are Ethereum and Solana. Solana has an extremely tight 3-day range. Look at that, 121 to 144. Look at these candles stacking side by side. Again, up off your April 7th low on a 3-day chart. We look at Solana as well. Solana got oversold just like it did on Ethereum. Last time Solana was oversold off the low here on the RSI, again, was April. 165% rally. We're going to come back to this. Let's look at this because I love market symmetry. Let's just put this thing up at about 165% again. Let's see, when before that did Solana get oversold? You got to go all the way back to June 2023, right? So again, this is not an event that happens like every 2 months you're getting oversold on a 3-day chart. This is an unusual event, and I'm looking for wave symmetry. When we look at this, you can see your absorption line forming here on your volume, and you can see momentum still lagging. RSI is up off the lows, and you have a tight range. So you look at Solana. What's the easiest thing to do in Solana? Range expansion for a target, right? Go to that wave high, wave low, 1618, 335. You look at the historical norm here, again, just small sample size, once in the last 2 years of getting oversold, but 165% rally. And of course, this would be about 175% rally to come up to $335 on Solana, and then 385 above that. So I would round these up to 350, 400. Again, psychological numbers, right? 350, 400 Solana target. Shared my Ethereum targets. Could Solana go above that? Sure. What's the bear case? The bear case is it makes a lower high and you fail somewhere around 225, 250. You can't take out these highs and you roll back over again. That's your bear case in Solana. But again, watch what happens. You look at Solana on the 3-hour chart. Same thing, you can look at your retracements here. You probably got about 786. Yep, bang on, 786. Again, just holding your trend, guys. Sell off low, came up for a high. Higher low, higher high. Higher low, you're in mid-wave, right? This can pull back with PAL. Want to try to hold that range above 121. And obviously it can break out with PAL as well. This is a bullish near-term trend. Just like I showed you on Bitcoin, you have wave counts, fractal wave counts. This has nothing to do with Elliott wave. You have fractal wave counts on bottoming patterns here that are forming if these levels hold up as is. You get these market structures with the fifth wave being your breakout wave. Guess where that target's going to go? We're going to look at it here. I'll show you guys. Guess where that target's going to go? There's your fifth wave breakout. Just like I showed you on Bitcoin. You have the same pattern on Ethereum, by the way. I just forgot to show it to you. There's your W. Look at your corridor over here, guys. I mean, that's the next level to take out, 171. And then you have 155. You're going to end up in there somewhere in the 160s on some type of breakout. And that's where your next resistance level is right up here. Okay. So 5-wave breakout. We'll see if we hold this series of higher lows with 2 being below 4. And then see what happens with PAL. Does he send it up? Does he send it back down? You want to hold 121. But overall, I'm accumulating Solana. I'm accumulating Ethereum at these lows. Been talking about it in the Discord. I'm looking at this for the move up, even if it is a lower high. These are substantial gains in these trades. Long video for you guys. Hope you enjoy. Follow me on X at Market Canary. Hope to see you in the Discord. Talk to you guys in the next one.